how long has it taken to develop that from your original use of dummy clips till now?
Look, I mean, I released that when I put out I put out something called the Mega Set. So I put it up I have a subscription-based website, and people pay for content and tutorials and kind of, I put a lot of free stuff out, but I have this main thing which is called the Mega Set, which is a huge template for live performance of almost any genre. And the whole idea is like a big, overwhelming template, which can be overwhelming for some people, but I put out the Mega Set 1.0 like many years ago, and people really liked it. It had lots of basic stuff, had some effects, had a few audio routings, a little bit of dummy clips and stuff. But for the Mega Set 2.0, I really wanted to put something really, really deep in there. And I was just kind of been trying to think of what I could do, and I've been toying with this idea, so I used that as an excuse. And that probably came out about a year ago, I think it was. Sure. Maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit less. But yeah, that was kind of, it's probably one of the most complicated things I've thought of, and I've since developed it further and further, like with the push, and I've also made a launchpad version as well. So the you can use the launchpad to actually trigger stuff instead of using the push, and you can just use your computer keyboard as well to actually put in the notes.
Sure, and people can just put in their own effects.
Absolutely encouraged. I mean, it would be great if I could actually develop something that automatically creates dummy clips based on the effect that people want. I can't actually think of how I'd do it now, but I think Max for Live, you could do something like that.
Yeah, like a little library of things that would be appropriate to beat repeat, and a library of things that would be appropriate to other things. And
correct.
Right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Cool.
Thanks, mate. And so using this is. You said in performance, but are you also using it in the writing and production stage of things as well?
Well, I mean, yes, but in a different way. I mean, I'm a big believer that, working on a particular loop for too long really kind of stales you down. And, if you get the right kick and the right bass line, you're like, okay, this is perfect, and you move over to your synths. If the kick and the bass line are still playing in the background while you're working on your synths and you're not actually focusing on them, but I still believe they subconsciously become stale. So what I like to do is use dummy clips to actually automate sends, so you can actually use them you don't just have to use them for parameters, you can have them turn sends up, and you can have a bunch of dummy clips which all have follow actions to randomize. So each time like a drum loop plays, it'll go to a different send, and that send will go to another audio track, and that audio track will have some kind of variation for you. So you kind of constantly got your loop or your backing track while you're working on something else. It's just constantly slightly changing and evolving, which kind of keeps things continuously fresh. And you find you don't actually end up going back to the bass line, the kick, and being like, oh, well, this sucks now. But, it doesn't actually suck, and it was really good at one stage. You just got really, really used to it. So the more you can not get used to your backing stuff, the more, the better. And that's a really another good way to use dummy clips in a production situation anyway.
Yeah, so having things constantly subtly evolving so you don't get sick of it.
Yeah, or just like a little drum fill here and there. You could have like 8 different drum fills, and every kind of 16 bars, just have one of them randomly select, and then that's kind of enough to just keep your subconscious. I mean, it could be out of bullshit, but that's what I believe anyway. It works for me. Even if it's a placebo, it works, so who cares?
All right, yeah, cool. We're not going to call you on your bullshit today. That was very impressive so far. The Mega Set, the very first Mega Set, when was that? About 2006? 2000?
Yeah, must have been 2000. That's when I first launched my website. It was kind of the big thing that I put out there. So yeah.
And then the most recent one is about a year ago.
Yeah, I should have released more in between, but it's just quite a big deal. And I mean, the old one's still great, just as good in my opinion, of course. But it's it's got all these tracks that I've chopped up, and it's just in there ready to jam. I mean, the latest Mega Set has about 14 gigabytes of original content that I've produced already. So all these loops and samples and stuff that you can just like open it up and jam, and then send it through all this crazy dummy stuff, and instantly it's your own work. Like it mangles it so much that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so you're giving away the tool, but it doesn't make it sound like your music. It's a process like anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so between 2006 and a year ago, we were talking a few revisions in Live, and it was in Live 8 that Max for Live was added. Mm-hmm. And then Max for Live became sort of bundled with the suite in Live 9. Mm-hmm. You've been teaching yourself Max for Live, and you've gotten so far as to develop things like that and things for other people. At what point did you start using Max for Live? So in Live 8 or in Live 9? Or?
Yep. I guess I just started near the end of Live 8. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you open up and it's really quite intimidating at first, and you kind of like open something somebody else has done, and just poke a few things until it breaks, and then whoops, and then don't really do anything else. And I just kind of started doing that, and eventually kind of went, well, this is cool. I'm starting to understand that it goes from here to here, and it's all quite visual, and it's all quite, it's all there's paths and way things go in and things go out, and I'm like, this is I can make 1 + 1 = 2 using this. And then then I got some guy, when version 9 came to me, and he's like, I really need this thing that takes video, analyzes the colors, and then turns the colors into RGB values, and I want those to control something crazy. And I'm going to take that project on, even though I don't know shit, and I'm going to try and build it. And I just spent 2 weeks just hermiting myself away and destroying my social life, and at the end result I had something for someone else. But I learnt a lot. So
no friends, but a great Max for
Life. You don't need friends when you've got Max for Life.
Definitely.
Or girlfriends.
We'll edit that bit out so she doesn't see that bit. I've got another question. Where do people go to get the mega set and to get the device?
www.cosm.co.nz. Or search for Tom Cosm. It's pretty. I think I'm first. I hope I am.
That other Tom Cosm biting his style.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Another question.
Yeah, when you're bringing new songs into a set that you're playing live, do you need a new dummy injector for each song, or do you apply one injector to your whole set?
The actual dummy injector where I click the button and it moved 2 things? Is that what you're talking about?
I get.
Well, I mean, the dummy injector has mapping buttons on it. So let's say you did actually add another track and you wanted that to be included in or modified by the dummy injector. You can very quickly remap it on the fly. It's just like mapping a MIDI key or something on the keyboard. You can just map it, or like a macro. You can map parameters to a macro knob by just hitting the map button. So the dummy injector has that. Thing. The dummy injector is free, by the way. I believe it's free. Yeah, it's free on maxforlife.com. I've got a profile there. Again, just search for it and you'll find it. I'm not going to read a big URL out to you.
So you'll just MIDI map as the live set's going?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, with the dummy injector anyway. I don't really have much need myself to remap anything once I've started. It's very rare that happens. But sometimes I remap MIDI stuff, but I've never run into a problem of any crashing or lagging or anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Map, click what you want, done. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, Tom, thank you so very much. That was wicked. Really nice to have you down here. And I just realised I think you're our second international guest, technically. But now that you're living in Melbourne, can we call you like our Tom? As like are you Aussie like Lamingtons?
No.
We'll try again in a year. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everyone.